Yes, Nagendra.
Okay. Sorry about this morning. That in this book, I was actually trying to finish it last night and took me some time. But I read that there are two type of people in this world. So either they are humorous fools, which I am, or serious jackass. So I don't know in which category. So such a beautiful book. Finally, I last night I finished it, and I started only 2 days ago, and it was so engrossing. It's The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. So this was given to me by our beloved Guruji Ramji, and I don't know whether you can see me or I can't.
Yes, Nagendra ji. Just Ram is good. And yes, we hear you and see you well.
Okay, I can't, something wrong with my PC. So there are some beautiful stories in short stories in this book. Okay, and this is a real book. I mean, based on real events and written by Dan Millman, who was, I think, one of the world champions in trampoline. But and during his university, he was a very highly talented guy and a high achiever. But he was somehow not very happy with his life, and he comes across this old man who is working in a petrol station, and he doesn't know his name, so he calls him Socrates or Soc. And this book is about how Socrates is mentoring Dan, and how on a way to become a peaceful warrior. So this is the book on that, and he teaches him a lot of things, including meditation, of course. So, and there were some beautiful stories. I thought I should, share it with you guys because it's also a way of for me to remember those stories. So, if I go through them once again, so the first one I have called it the benevolent king. Okay, and this is on page 22 of this book. So basically, this story is told to Dan, and he remembers it when he comes across Socrates, and he's thinking whether this makes any sense or not, and whether he should really follow him. So he remembers what his grandfather told him. So this is that story. There was once a beloved king whose castle was on a high hill overlooking his shire, so overlooking his kingdom. So it was in England, yeah, because shire is a word used in England. He was so popular that the nearby townspeople sent him gifts daily, and his birthday celebrations was enjoyed throughout the kingdom. The people loved him for his renowned wisdom and fair judgments. One day, tragedy struck the town. The water supply was polluted, and every man, woman, and child went insane. Only the king, who had a private spring, was spared. Soon after the tragedy, the mad townspeople began speaking of how the king was acting strangely, and how his judgments were poor and his wisdom was a sham. Many even went so far as to say that the king had gone crazy. Many even went so far as to say that the king had gone crazy. His popularity soon vanished. No longer did the people bring him gifts or celebrate his birthday. The lonely king, high on the hill, had no company at all. One day he decided to leave the hill and pay a visit to the town. It was a warm day, and so he drank from the village fountain, the same fountain where the people had drank. That night there was a great celebration. The people rejoiced, for their beloved king had regained his sanity. So the story means to say that, never assume that the other person, what he's saying, makes no sense. Maybe you don't make sense. So it's all illusions, It's all, you don't know what reality is. That's basically the moral of the story. And the next story, I call it bad luck or good luck. And this is the story which happens When Dan, he has a very bad accident. His right thigh is broken into 40 pieces, and he bought a new bike when he went visiting his parents in some other city. And when he wanted to ride back on a bike, a motorcycle, from this place to his university, the city where he was studying. And as soon as he started, he had a very bad accident, and he was in coma for 3 days, and his leg is shattered. And for an athlete, especially of that level, to have this, he was completely broken. And then his one of the common friend between him and Socrates, her name was Joy. She visits him, and then she says to him. So I'll read a little bit of what happens. So I was semi-conscious for 3 days in a drugged sleep that barely separated me from the agonizing, unrelenting pain. Sometime in the evening of the third day, I awoke in the darkness when I sensed someone quiet as a shadow sitting nearby. Joy got up and knelt by my bedside, stroking my forehead as I turned away in shame. She whispered to me, I came as soon as I heard. I wished her to share my victories. She always saw me in defeat. I bit my lip and tasted tears. Joy gently turned my face to hers and looked into my eyes. Socrates has a message for you, Danny. He asked me to tell you this story. I closed my eyes and listened intently. An old man and his son worked on a small farm with only one horse to pull the plow. One day the horse ran away. How terrible, sympathized the neighbors. What bad luck. Who knows whether it is bad luck or good luck, the farmer replied. A week later, the horse returned from the mountains, leading 5 wild mares into the barn. So he was followed by five, wild horses. What wonderful luck, said the neighbors. Good luck, bad luck, who knows, answered the old man. The next day, the son, trying to tame one of the horses, fell and broke his leg. How terrible, what bad luck. Bad luck, good luck. The army came to all the farms to take the young man for war, but the farmer's son was of no use to them, so he was spared. Good, bad. So that's the story. So basically, any event that happens in our lives, it always has a purpose. So just take it in your stride. That's what I understood. The third story is from page 124, and I have named it Is That So? And let's see what the story is. Yeah, so basically, this is a discussion between Socrates, of course, and Dan, and there's another common friend called Joseph, and I think he had a restaurant which served vegetarian food and was beautiful, and I think it got burnt up. That's when this completely burned to ashes, and Socrates is completely normal. So Joseph is completely normal. So Dan is a little bit surprised, and then Joseph tells Dan this story. In a small fishing village in Japan, there lived a young unmarried woman who gave birth to a child. Her parents felt disgraced and demanded to know the identity of the father. Afraid, she refused to tell them. The fisherman she loved had told her secretly that he was going off to seek his fortune and would return to marry her. Her parents persisted. In desperation, she named Hakuin, a monk who lived in the hills, as the father. Outraged, the parents took the infant girl up to his door, pounded until he opened it, and handed him the baby, saying, "This child is yours. You must take care of it." "Is that so?" Paquin said, taking the child in his arms, waving goodbye to the parents. A year passed, and the real father returned to marry the woman. At once they went to Hakuin to beg for the return of the child. "We must have our daughter," they said. "Is that so?" said Hakuin, handing the child to them. So you can imagine how Hakuin was, completely normal in any circumstance. So when Joseph completed this story, he smiled and waited for my response. "An interesting story, Joseph, but I don't understand why you're telling it to me now. I mean, your cafe just burned down." "Is that so?" he said. Then we laughed as I shook my head in resignation. "Joseph, you're as crazy as Socrates." So that's the story. I think I'll take one more. There are two more stories I wanted to share. So let's see. One is on page 166. Are you still carrying her? Yeah. Two monks, one old, one very young, walked along a muddy path in a rainforest on their way back to a monastery in Japan. They came upon a lovely woman who stood helplessly at the edge of a muddy, fast flowing stream. Seeing her predicament, the older monk swept her up in strong arms and carried her across. She smiled at him, her arms around his neck, until he put her gently down on the other side. Thanking him, she bowed, and the monks continued on their way in silence. As they neared the monastery gates, the young monk could no longer contain himself. "How could you carry a beautiful woman in your arms? Such behavior does not seem proper for a priest." The old monk looked at his companion, replying, "I left her back there. Are you still carrying her?" "Just like more work ahead," I said, "just when I thought I was getting somewhere." "Your business is not to get somewhere, it is to be here. But you still live mostly in the past or future, except when you're doing a somersault." So this is now the dialogue between, Socrates and Dan. "But you still live mostly in the past or future, except when you're doing a somersault or being badgered by me. Now is the time to apply yourself like never before. If you are to have even a chance of finding the gate, it is here before you. Open your eyes now." "But how?" "Just keep your attention in the present moment, Dan. This is freedom from suffering, from fear, from mind. When thoughts touch the present, they dissolve." He prepared to leave. "Wait, Socrates, before you go, tell me, were you the older monk in the story? The one who carried the woman? That sounds like something you would have done. Are you still carrying her?" He laughed as he glided away and disappeared around the corner. So I think everyone understands the moral of the story. The last one was my favorite. It's on page 179, and I call it No Sugar. A mother brought her young son to Mahatma Gandhi. She begged, "Please, Mahatma, tell my son to stop eating sugar." Gandhi paused, then said, "Bring your son back in 2 weeks." Puzzled, the woman thanked him and said that she would do as he had asked. 2 weeks later, she returned with her son. Gandhi looked the youngster in the eye and said, "Stop eating sugar." Grateful but bewildered, the woman asked, "Why did you tell me to bring him back in 2 weeks? You could have told him the same thing then." Gandhi replied, "2 weeks ago, I was eating sugar." So, you know, this is for the leaders in our society. lead by example. So yes, friends, that was some short stories. I really like them, and I thought of sharing with you all. So, any comments, any sharings from your side?
Thanks a lot, Nagendra ji. It was very beautiful, and happy that Dan had caught you for 2 days. So indeed, that was as well one of the good books I read in the recent times. The storyline catches one's reading, that calls for the reading, and the wisdom that comes through connects to deep within us. It is as if many instances we are Dan, and many instances we are Socrates. And the combination is what that leads us into this journey of a warrior, a peaceful warrior. Happy to re-listen some of the stories.
Yeah,
And very beautiful. This book is very beautiful. I think it's like a beautiful movie that can be watched many times. Similarly, is this book that can be read many times, and every time we read, we get insights and insights and insights. So one of the best books. And when you were reading about the story of Joseph, the one whose beautiful restaurant gets burned down, and then in the following meeting with Socrates, there is an instance where he shares Joseph is no more.
that
And
is
even that conversation, that sharing between both of them, how he speaks about life, and then as well the continuity of the life is so beautiful. So I surely recommend everyone. I generally like whatever I like to give to others, and I instantly felt this book should be bought in many copies and be given to many people.
I had the same feeling, yeah, that I should buy some and give them whenever there's an occasion.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rita ji was there. Yeah.
Hi, Nagendra ji. Beautiful. Very nice. It's just making me smile and think that life can be beautiful and we have the power within us to make things beautiful. I love these short stories. They have a subtle moral which is not thrown on your face. You have to find it out, especially regarding Gandhiji saying, you can only tell someone when you are practicing. When he stopped consuming sugar, then he had the power to say, Baba, don't do that. I really like that. Thank you, Nagendra ji. Bless
Well,
you.
welcome.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, friends. So, if no more sharing, thanks to the messages, Miss Pooja ji, Nandini ji. Thank you for your messages. And if there are no more sharings, I don't see any hands up. If no sharings, we can. Thank you, Shashank. Ah, nice to see you all after a long time. Where have you been? Looking for.
Thank you so much, Nagendra ji.
Did you meet?
It's a wonderful way of narrating the entire stories. Very nice. I had good remembrance of this book now again. Thank you. About me, I have a kid now, so I named her as well. I call her Joy. So we're having wonderful, joyous moments, and
Wow!
I will be back soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you so
happy.
much.
Looking forward to whenever you're,
Yes,
ready back. Yeah.
definitely, Nagendraji. Thank you. Thank you so much for this wonderful session today.
Thank you. Mamta ji, yes.
Namaste, Nagendra ji.
Namaste.
Namaste, my folks. Um, I was somewhat late, and I didn't get the complete the meaning of that story.
Which story?
Yes,
Which one?
with you shared the story, no?
Yeah,
Today.
okay,
Yes, I
yeah.
was somewhat late,
Uh,
so the just I came to know the just where Ramsar was explaining about that. And really, always short stories, the stories inspire so much, and we can learn so much from these stories. It's an easy way to everyone to to tell, and also we can learn easily. So thank you for that. And I want to share my states what I have written. Spiritual progress can mean many things: release old hurts, finding tranquility, developing a more sensitive and empathetic nature, increasing our faith in divine. Our spiritual progress does not have to be same as others, because we have our own lessons to learn. We should only gauge our spiritual progress in regard to how we have been in the past. As we become more aware of our spiritual nature, new levels of awareness are going. Celebrate this. Dissolve boundaries between you and world. There is sense of oneness, sense of universal at oneness. Thank you for sharing, and that is very important for our development, and it's a light for my path. Thank you so much. Thank you, universe. Thank you, masters.
Thank you very much, Mamtaji. And you concluded your, what you have written beautifully. That somehow, even in this book, the in the last chapter, when he really finds it, he thinks he has found what he was looking for, and that was nothing but when he discovered that about oneness, that there is no difference between him and the tree around him and the people around him or the mountains around him. So it's all, he's part of the whole. And this is when once you realize this, then you are, you have found happiness. Let's put it that way. So thank you very much, Mamtaji, for sharing. Your sharings are always spot on and so beautifully written. You compare your own progress with yourself, not with someone else. So that was really wonderful. Thanks a lot. So any more sharings? You can tell a short story if you remember something. We can go 5 minutes more. Okay. In that case, thank you everyone. Sorry for being late this morning. And thank you, Ramji, for taking over and continuing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nagendraji. It's all on perfect timing. Thank you.
Namaste. Bye.
Bye. Bye.